comes into, and you know, because it isn't a volume displacement that we talked about today, right? It's taking the flow and then converting it to volumes from this guy here, okay? This can be sterilized. It's reusable. So on the side, you have your inspiratory port, and you can see it says inspiration and it says expiration. Okay, so to the patient, from the patient. To need a bacterial filter on each one, and then your vent circuit. Okay, of course you need oxygen, air, and electricity. This does have a compressor, so if you didn't have air, you could just plug the compressor in. It's loud, but you can use it. Okay, this guy.
There's two plugs, two electrical plugs. One of them has red tape on it. That's the one you want to plug in.
Okay.
You don't need to plug in the other one.
And the other one I kind of wound up tighter, so just leave it up.
What's the other one for?
Flops all over the place, right?
The decompressor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So on the back, this guy here, so the Draeger and the Servo-i have 2 on switches.
Oh.
This one's on the back. You just slide the little silver thing across and it turns on. They all have pre-use checks or a test that you're gonna do before you use it, after you put on the new tubing and it's been cleaned before placing on a patient. Okay, so it does its startup. And the first thing it's gonna ask is, do you want to start the pre-use check? Yes, I do. So I'm gonna hit yes. Okay, it's gonna come to this. It's gonna tell you what to do, just like the 840. Okay, it's already done 2 tests, but right now it says connect the test tube, which is this guy, don't lose it, between the inspiratory outlet and the expiratory outlet. Disconnect them and just put it on there. Don't twist it when you put it on. Just feed it on there, and you just say, okay. And basically, wait. One of these
Do we have to cap it?
sensor. What's that?
Do we have to cap it?
In a second.
Okay, I remember.
Yeah.
Oh, but that circuit's not even attached.
Yeah, and that's not even in.
It's
It's just going right here. Yeah, I don't even think we do, now that you said that.
You smelling toast?
What?
What?
What did you say? Are you smelling
Do you
that?
smell any toast?
I have COVID, so.
Oh, well, if it's just COVID, that's fine.
It smelled something like warm or something, right?
Something's burning.
Garlic bread, yeah.
So it goes through internal tests, the barometer, gas supply, internal leakage, pressure transducer, safety valve. I think that's where we're at. No, we're on the O2 self sensor test. I have a glare,
One of
so
the
you can't see
tests
it.
is a battery test, and the batteries are old and dead, so it's going to give you an error, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It still functions, even though the battery doesn't work. What I should do is run the 840 through an EST. Probably haven't been done with it.
Last summer, did we? I don't know if we even had time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably would be good. So now it passed flow transducer, now it's in, or no, that
No, we're
is
on
flow. I have a glare, I can't see it. Where it's going across. Yeah, because if it was battery, it would ask you a question. There it is. 1 or more batteries need to be replaced. Check batteries in status. Okay, I will. So you just hit OK. Please unplug the power cord. See the red Okay, please reinsert the power cord.
It wants to make sure that
Connect
I can
patient
recognize
circuit
it.
and block the Y piece. So I have to read, there is a spot that we do that. So when you're done with this, just lay it on top so it doesn't get lost, please.
Please. You don't want Amber mad at you.
Oh, it's the last thing. Plug that in. Make sure it's not pointing at anyone. Gonna shoot your eye out.
I'm gonna pop somebody's eye out.
Mm-hmm. Patient circuit test.
That's why you can't have a BB gun.
Crazy story.
A red
To
Ryder
wish to
BB gun.
compensate for compressible volume. So where the 840 just did it, this is asking you, do you want to? Why would you even not want to? Right? So,
Especially if you're dealing with a neonate where your tidal volume is only 5 mLs.
yeah. So we say yes. And it says we passed. Yay! Okay. So we passed our test, we hit okay. So it comes up to this, and it asks you, do you want to delete patient data? You can say yes or no. First thing I'm going to do though, you can see across the bottom of the screen, the settings. We're on 40%. These down here, you can do a quick switch of a setting. I'm putting it on 21% right off the bat, okay? So you can see what is already set up in there, but we've got to go through and make sure that it's the right patient and the right device, right? So we want an adult patient, and you can see the adult up there in the corner. And invasive, because this can do infants and non-invasive as well on this machine. So we want to do that, okay? So then we have to go in, and we're going to put this in that dual mode we talked about today, pressure regulated volume control. So how you get into the settings is this button right here. You just touch it, okay? And it pops up to what we need. If we needed to change the mode, this is where we would do it. And we will be coming back here at some point to do our respiratory mechanics to get our plateau pressure and get it to, well, just to get our plateau pressure, to put it in volume control, and also to put it into pressure support CPAP, okay? So we just hit that button to scroll to that. So then we go here. If you'll notice when you start doing this, all of the PEs have the same tidal volume, respiratory rate, okay, all basically the same settings. So we want 700 for a tidal volume, so you touch it and you turn this, kind of like the 840, you touch it, turn it, hit the button, or the Draeger is the same. Our respiratory rate, we wanted at 15. PEEP of 5, I already got it on 21%, because remember I did it down here quickly. Inspiratory time, remember this is the dual mode. We're setting inspiratory time and our tidal volume here. Remember they kind of
Targeted.
switch back. Yeah. And so we want our inspiratory time at 1 second. Do you guys remember what normal inspiratory time is for an adult? What's the range?
0.8 to 1.2.
Okay. Inspiratory rise at 0.2. And like Rick said, he's gonna go over that in the fall, so just put it at 0.2 for now. This is your trigger right here. It says trigger flow. They all say something different, but remember, like Pepsi and Coke, it's just what do they call it, right? So we want it at 3. If we want it pressure, we just go even more to the left. Okay? So we want it at flow of 3. So those are all set. So now we need to start it up. Okay, so we first accept all of these settings. It's still in standby. This is a crazy ventilator because remember I told you there's 2 on buttons for this one. So we want it running before we put it on a patient. Man, that's all twisted. So right here, turns it on. Okay. So this lung is the one that's leaking. I
Is it?
switched it over to
So
here,
we didn't do the
and
plug?
it seems fine. We didn't do the plug?
We took it out and put it on the.
No, she did that already.
When she was testing it.
There it is. There it is. Okay, so before we can put our alarms in, we gotta let the ventilator deliver a few breaths. Up here, silence. Silence alarm. Right here is your alarm profile. So that's where you're gonna wanna go. Touch that button. And we have high pressure we're gonna set. So if our pressure over here, our peak pressure is 21, where are we gonna set? 36. Yeah, that's good. Or if you're Rick, it'll be 31. Right?
37?
Minute volume. So you have all of the things you need here on this screen. This will actually change them. So peak pressure, we have a rate of 15, oxygen 21. Minute ventilation right now is 10. We'll go with that. See if it goes up anymore.
No.
Our tidal volume, I want you guys to look at that. Our tidal volume is about 708 now. Exhaled tidal volume, 670 something. So we are losing some, so we have a leak somewhere. Remember, what's leaving should come back, right? We talked about that today. So if our minute ventilation is 10.2, how do we get our high minute ventilation again?
Times about 1.15.
Times 1.5, and we're just gonna touch these, turn them. So that would be your low, that would be your high, okay? And then your respiratory rate. We want them to get the rate that we have set. So we can set that anywhere below what we have set, the low rate. The high rate, where are we gonna set it if he's breathing 15?
30.
30 is good.
I think
Okay.
Amber was saying, set the low rate at 8.
At 8, just to set it there?
Because we got, if we think normal respiratory rate's 10, low.
Yeah.
Then if somebody's breathing 8, I wanna know about it.
So it's kind of, it'll be in there if they're in a spontaneous mode. Because in AC or PRVC, he's gonna get 15, right? So, and then your end expiratory pressure is usually 5 above the PEEP, that's your baseline, right? And like 3 below is fine, 2 to 3 below. So setting, we have 5 of PEEP,
You said
So
that's
set it at 10,
and then
so
3
5
below.
above,
3
and then
below.
2 to 3 below, setting at
So
2 or 3 is fine. Okay, so it's kind of like a low pressure alarm. If it's not meeting that pressure, it would tell us there's a leak. So nothing's alarming, I'm just gonna leave those as is. You guys know how to do those. So these knobs down here, like I said, we can just quickly just go down here if we wanted the PEEP up to 8. You know, we could just turn the knob there quickly. The screen, if we hit this additional values, right here, when we do our plateau pressure, it's gonna pop up in this screen. It's not even listed there, but when we do the plateau pressure, it will show up there. So I'm gonna leave this screen up, okay? So we got all those buttons. Here is it says start breath, manual breath. You can just give a patient a breath, okay? O2 breaths. So we hit this, it's gonna be whatever we have set, and if you go to quick menu, the gray soft key here, over here on the top it says suction support. Okay, so that's another way you can give an O2 breath. But when you do, it's gonna be whatever you have set. If you want it more than what is set, you have to dial it up to, say, 100. With neonates, you only want 20% above what you have set. So if they're on 30%, you only want suction support to be 20% above that. So at 50%. Why?
Isn't it because like it messes up their eyes? Like,
What's it
Messes
called?
up their eyes.
Oh, they're
Retinopathy.
retinopathy.
Retinopathy of prematurity, yep. Okay, good.
And it messes up their eyeshadow.
All right. So then the last 2 buttons are your expiratory hold and your inspiratory hold. Okay, so we're gonna measure auto PEEP and we're gonna get our plateau pressure. Okay. Quick access button, which I already hit. Suction support, which I showed you. The next button is if we want to look at loops. Okay. If we want to scale our waveforms, because this is a question on your PE. If you want to configure them. Open lung tools, you talk about it in the fall, but don't really do that on the ventilator, so you don't have to worry about those for now. Okay.
And a lot of places don't even know what they do, so.
That was Mary made us do research. That was my research presentation. And I did it with, what was his name, and he just passed. That's
Homer?
Homer Ingert. Hey, he worked with me. Such a nice guy. All right, so main screen is this screen, and it goes back to just these values here. The menu gives you an alarm profile. We're gonna use this review in just a second. And some other things that you don't need to worry about right now. Okay, so I'm gonna go to that second screen. So in order to get a plateau pressure, you have to go get out of PRVC, where you have a variable flow, and go into volume, where we're gonna have a constant flow. So we're gonna go PRVC, go to volume control, and we're gonna look at all of the settings. Our tidal volume, rate, all of those are the same: inspiratory time, rise time, and flow. This T pause, I'm gonna show you what it looks like, but it gives you a breath hold every single breath. Not comfortable, like, it's not comfortable to breathe that way, but you can get your plateau pressure that way, so watch your screen. The next breath will be, and you'll see plateau show. See, it shows up over here. But every breath is gonna be like that, okay? So we're gonna go in there. So that's one way you can get it, as long as you can go back and
Pause it.
get them out of that pretty quickly, okay? So we're gonna accept this. So give them a couple breaths. So we're in volume control. You can see that, right? So then what we're gonna do is wait for a new screen, do an inspiratory hold. You can see I'm doing that there.
Do the expiratory first,
Okay,
because then it'll take total PEEP into calculation.
okay. Let me let them get to it. You wanna start at a new screen, okay? Oops. Okay, expiratory hold. You say the hold is active, let go, hit save. It's gonna say recording. So let it go through a whole nother screen. Okay, then hit menu, hit review, recorded waveforms. So this is your regular breath. I need to go back in this area, right in here. And I always like to go back to the previous screen where I actually did it. This is where I was doing my breath hold. So it's showing us, see it at the end, pressure of 6. Our PEEP is set at 5. 6 minus 5 is 1. So we have auto PEEP, we're air trapping, which is generating 1 centimeter of water pressure more than what we actually want it to.
Actually, it'll show up on.
The total PEEP shows up on that one screen.
Right. Yeah, PEEP total
Oh, okay.
6.
Yes, okay, thank you.
So you would know that
Yeah,
without.
okay.
freezing.
So you wouldn't have to freeze it, but just another way to go back and look at it. I knew there was another way, but, so, there's things you can do that Rick will teach you in the fall. Okay? What we want you to do is know how to do it and recognize that there is, okay? So something's happening that's causing some gas to be trapped for this patient, okay? So there's both of those that I haven't done the inspiratory hold. So then I'm gonna close this, wait for a new screen, and we have static compliance here, but once we do our breath hold, once it's active, we can let go and hit save. Okay, and then I'm gonna hit that. Look at our review, recorded, and go back to where I was holding. You can see that breath hold there, right? Scroll back, and it's telling us 14. Okay, and remember when I did it the first time, you could see it on this side here, right? so it's 14. And also, this screen, there's that, watch, it'll show up in here, right there. See it? So a couple ways to do it, okay? What you can't forget is to go back into PRVC. Okay? Everything looks the same, hit accept.
There's actually a previous setup on there too, that you,
There is.
yeah, that is probably the optimal way to do it, because there are times where the settings change.
Let's see. Let's go in there. And, oh, previous mode.
Yep.
So it should go back to volume. Yep, volume control. Then you just hit accept. Okay, so then, I couldn't see it. Then previous mode to go back to PRVC. Okay? Thank you, Rick. Alright, so we've done those. And then on this machine, we're gonna go to pressure support.
There is no tube compensation.
There is, yeah, so we're gonna go in here. So now you've set up, you know, all of your settings, you put in your alarms, it's not alarming, done all that, you call us over, do your respiratory mechanics, do the plateau pressure, get all of that information. And then, we're gonna have you put them into pressure support, okay? So then, just touch that top. Drop down screen, pressure support. So your PE, I believe, says pressure support
1505.
above PEEP, 15. So we're gonna do, it's at 18, we're gonna go to 15, okay? So 15 over 5 means the PEEP is 5, okay? 21%, really it's whatever the patient needs. Inspiratory rise time is still at 0.2. Flow trigger, do we change this one to pressure? I don't think so.
I think we do.
So, let's just say we do.
-2, yeah.
Yeah, so -2. Oops, okay, so we're keeping that there. Inspiratory cycle off is Rick in the fall. So pressure control above PEEP. So when this patient goes into apnea, what we want to do is look at what the patient's pressure is right now, what is it?
22.
Oh, 22.
And subtract our PEEP.
Mhm.
Yes.
17.
So where would we set our pressure control above PEEP?
17.
17.
17 or
Well, no, it's
18.
18.
Wait, say that one more time.
Oh, it's at 23 now, so.
Yeah,
So
so,
eight-
So our
people
peak
five,
pressure,
You subtract it by 5.
take your peak pressure and subtract whatever your baseline is.
Okay.
Could be 0, right? Could be 10, whatever it is.
It's
5.
It's 5. We set our peak, which is our baseline,
23 minus
at
5 is
18. Okay? So that's how you're setting your backup ventilation. Okay? So if the patient goes apneic, you're gonna be ventilated with pressure. Okay?
that's
So-
in essence our apnea settings.
Yeah. Can somebody turn on my breather? Okay, so I'm gonna hit accept, and now it's in pressure support CPAP. So patient's gonna breathe, you're gonna change the alarms, go back into your alarm profile and change them according to what the patient's doing, call us back over, answer, 50 questions, and you're good.
Now, is it like a scenario like with our BiPAP where you had it on the wall, or like you give a piece of paper? Or
This
it's
is-
just all
this is it.
strictly-
Yeah, it's on the
okay.
PE.
Yeah,
Oh,
everything is
PE.
written
Yeah.
on
Oh,
there.
it's on the
Yes.
PE.
Tell ya.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're not
okay.
giving you different settings. That's what I'm saying. All the ventilators have, when you initially set them up, rate of 15, 700. The 840 has a flow of 60 liters per minute. All have PEEP of 5.
High time of 1.
I time of 1 if you're setting an inspiratory time.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so it's on the PE.
For each of
Can't
the
hear you.
PEs, yeah, they're in your binder.
Okay.
Yeah, they are all in there.
The final PE you do is a little
Yes.
bit different, but we'll talk more about
Yeah,
that.
in a couple weeks, once we get going on these, so not next week, but the next week when we do humidity, we will start showing you how to do those calculations and those things that we talked about today using body surface area for the minute ventilation. Okay? We good? So you can silence and disconnect, and then hit this button.